Good afternoon, everybody. My job is to stop everybody from napping after the lunch. So that I'm a sort of a warm-up act, if you like, for our star speaker, Professor Pettit. Unfortunately, it's a warm-up act without any jokes, so I apologize for that. What I want to do is to take a few minutes to outline some of the things that we're doing, just to let everybody know that there's an awful lot going on at the moment. And the first thing is the buddy scheme. This is an attempt to put particularly newly diagnosed patients in touch with someone else who's already been through that experience. And we partnered about a year ago with Leukemia Care to do this as a joint effort, basically. And it started in Nottingham and Leicester areas, and it worked particularly well. At the moment, we have 18 buddies, and each buddy handles 2 patients. Patients come and go. So patients are referred usually by the nurse at the hospital, and they're getting into contact with a buddy by telephone. If they want to meet, they can. It's entirely up to them. But most of the conversation is over the telephone and by email, particularly. We expanded it during the year out of those 2 areas, and this year it's going to go nationwide. So anybody in any part of the country can contact or have contact with a buddy. That means we need more buddies. So if anyone here would be at all interested in helping another patient or indeed another carer, because a lot of carers are coming in touch with the buddies now, saying, you know, I find this a very stressful situation, what can I do? And it's often good to speak to someone else who's already been through that experience or is already having that experience. So if you would like to be a buddy, if you think you could help someone else, that would be very useful. On the other hand, if you would like to talk to a buddy, then you could do that. Leukemia Care are at the back there. They'd be very happy to direct you. I have some leaflets about the scheme. So anybody who would like to be involved in that in any way at all, please contact us. It's going to go nationwide in the next month or so, and Leukemia Care are providing, on our behalf, all of the administration. Buddies have training. There is a training element, so you're not thrown in completely blind. You have a training period, and you can choose how much or how little you want to do. It is extreme. The feedback that we've got from patients is basically overwhelming. Obviously, it's serving a need. And I think that's quite important. So we're quite excited about that. It's also being expanded to cover not just CLL now, but other leukemia, or in fact all leukemias as well. We concentrate in CLLSA, obviously, on CLL, but Leukemia Care cover all blood cancers, and it's going to very shortly cover everything. So you might know people, you might see people at a clinic. Please feel. Well, I have a question at the back there. Thank you. Yeah. So if you didn't hear that, that's it's being extended initially for acute leukemias. So were you to come up with anybody in a clinic, then please feel free to refer them. Secondly, information pack. A lot of patients have come to us and said, in fact, some people in this room today, we went to the clinic, we were told we had leukemia, CLL, and then we were left. I see somebody nodding over there. No information or very little information. We're very, very keen, as you've heard, to try and get these leaflets out, to direct people to ourselves, and we're producing, during the course of this year, an information pack, which we'd love to have in every single clinic. We're working with nurses, because they take this load upon themselves quite a lot. And the intention is that this pack will be available in all CLL clinics later this year. The copy has been done. Olga is frantically working on editing it. I think. She's frowning at me, but I think she's doing that. We want to make it as presentable as possible. It's going to be written in standard English, as little jargon as possible, but as much explanation as possible, and that's quite a difficult balance to get. I want to make it look attractive. We're very keen to make it look attractive and appealing. So if anybody has any connection with a graphic artist or a designer, son, daughter, relation, whatever, we'd be very, very pleased to hear from them. Otherwise, we're going to have to employ somebody to do it at great expense. If we can do it through ourselves, that would be good. That would be good. I just wonder, out of interest for our own purposes, how many people, when they were initially diagnosed with CLL, felt that they had sufficient information? Could you put your hand up if you felt that you had enough information at initial diagnosis? Not a single person. Okay, that's very significant. It really is. Is there anybody that wouldn't have wanted information at that point? Fine. Okay, that's about the most conclusive little survey I think we've ever done. And I think that's very important. It's why we're very keen to get this really underway. Our difficulty, as always, is going to be not producing it. Well, that's quite a struggle to get it absolutely balanced right, but getting it into the clinics. But we'll solve that problem one way or another. Moving quickly on, the next thing I put on here is NICE. This is a bit of a technical area, but it's vitally important to everything we try and do. I'm sure, as many of you know, NICE is the body that has the power to approve or disapprove of new treatments. It's very much an ongoing issue, and we, CLLSA, regularly make representations to NICE, along with friends, Leukemia Care, Bloodwise, and other charities, on particularly new drugs and new drug combinations. You might have seen from the newsletter that we were successful recently in presenting to NICE, having refused the first assessment on a new combination, venetoclax and rituximab, for relapsed refractory patients. I think that's quite significant. And we plough this furrow, we work this battle constantly. And we're talking to NICE, along with clinicians, along with our other charities, all the time. We're talking to government departments, we're talking to various departments all over to try and get this going. We've had one success. Previously, we presented for two other drugs, idelalisib and ibrutinib, which are now pretty standard throughout, and we managed to get those through as well. There are more in the pipeline. There are a lot more. I'm sure Professor Pettit is going to tell us a little bit about what's coming up in the pipeline later. Moving on to the CLL Forum. This is a body which represents just about every significant CLL clinician in the country. Effectively, they shape the CLL treatment landscape. Our chair, David Innes, who's not here today, is on their panel, on their board, so we have a direct contact with them. And that's a very keen relationship that we have. Recently, the forum published a set of guidelines which details the treatment that consultants should expect to be able to give to patients depending on where they were in their overall journey, if you like. You know, under what circumstances would you treat them with this? Under what circumstances would you treat with that? One of the things that we felt was, and we understand this, was not in those guidelines, was how a patient should be approached and treated emotionally. And I've heard a lot today about the emotional aspect of being diagnosed and what that means to the patient and to the carer and the surrounding family. So we have now an agreement with the forum that we will write, along with several other charities, a guideline covering exactly that. We have collected 4 other charities on the panel to write this. We have specialist nurse advisors, consultants we're talking to, and also the psychology department of Christie's, which we think is very important to have all this input, because then we speak from a situation of not just one voice ourselves, but a whole pile of voices. That we think this is the way the consultant should look at the patient. Hopefully that will be out later this year. There's a lot of rewriting and a lot of rewriting that has to go on. It has to pass around a lot of different people, but eventually it will be published in, we expect, in one of the hematology journal, and become part of the guidelines that consultants will follow. Fundraising. Olga's already spoken quite a bit about this, but we're enormously grateful for the pharmaceutical industry for helping us, and we do get funds from them. We want to, as far as possible, reduce that as a percentage of our total income. So we need to look at where we get the funding from other sources. We're looking at grants from the Lottery Fund and various other charitable organizations that we think we may be successful with, but that's quite a long-term process. The Lottery Fund's going to take about 2 years, and they might turn us down, who knows. And they're not going to offer us a great deal of money anyway. Significantly, last year we raised £20,000, which enables us to do 2 extra conferences, and this is one of them, and that was raised from people running in the Virgin 10K run in London. That's the most we've ever raised. So if anybody feels like running a marathon, then please feel free to do so. The 10K run will be again this year, and we will have places. Now, you know, I don't expect everybody, of course, to run it, but you might have a son or a daughter. One of our trustees roped in 2 or 3 of her sons who'd done running in the army and various forces and so on, and they raised a lot of money. £20,000 from one run on one day is an awful lot of money. We can't expect to do that every time, but we'd like to have more entrants. So if you've got somebody who fancies getting fit, who fancies putting some running gear on and would like to help, then please contact Sarah, who is over there. She has all the details about the minimum requirements and so on, and we give you a free T-shirt as well. So yeah, that's pretty good. There are other areas which we're looking at to raise funds. I mean, from things like you might know somebody who's good at baking. Have a cake morning, a coffee morning, all over the country. There are a whole pile of things, and we're going to try and put together a pack to give to members who are interested in that, about ideas and ways that we can use to get more money in. The more money we have in, we call it funds, it's actually money at the end of the day. The more money we have in, the more conferences we can put on, and the more we can do. Everything I've mentioned so far costs money, and there's no other way than raise it. We don't get enough money from pharmaceutical companies to do anything like we're trying to do or we want to do. That's very important. I'm going to leave you now. Thank you very much for your attention.